Welcome into latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Craig Burley and Frank LeBeuf. Later on in the programme, we're looking back at how both Turkey and the Netherlands advanced to the quarterfinals of the Euros. There's only one place to start today, and that's the US men's national team. Embarrassing elimination from Copa America, out in the group stages after losing 1-0 against Uruguay last night. Let's head to LA and the boys to see what excuses Seb is serving up this time.
Thank you very much, Dan. Wonderful to be with you as well. Yes, actually, Football Americas was off for the last few days. Did we miss anything? Did anything go down? Just a couple things?
We'll get to it.
As the gentleman in Connecticut pointed out, yes, the United States joining Mexico in crashing out of the group phase at the Copa America as we check out the final table in Group C. U.S. finishing third behind Uruguay and Panama, one spot ahead of Bolivia. Not nearly enough to advance to the quarterfinals. Let's hear from the manager, Greg Berhalter, after the match.
When you see the effort tonight that we put in, it's incredible. The guys did a great job. They worked extremely hard, put in a great effort against a really good team. But that needs to be the standard. Every time we step on the field, that needs to be the same effort. They don't give up many chances, and we knew that going into the game, it wasn't going to be a ton of chances. We knew it was going to be one or two opportunities, hopefully a set piece or two, and we can get on the board. When you look at the other games, we've created enough chances to score enough goals. Panama was an exception, I think, due to the circumstances of being down a man, and we still had a higher expected goal difference than them. And I don't want this to be an excuse at all. We did not perform up to expectations at all. We know we can do better. We believe in this team. And but that's how it was.
Do you feel like the team has made progress over the past 9 months since you retook charge? And if so, in what ways?
Yeah, I do. I think in a number of ways. Defensively, we're a very good team. Most games we have higher expected goals than the opponent. We create chances. We move the ball well. To me, the whole thing is, you want to keep moving the team forward. And I feel like we have. You think about the depth of the squad, the number of players we have that have played in games. So there's certainly improvement, and we need to keep going. To me, it's not, in my opinion, it's not something you say, okay, this program's doomed. It's not the case at all. It was a poor performance. We didn't get the results that we expected, and we need to get better.
Do you believe that you still are the right voice, the right person with this group to push it forward ahead of the 26th World Cup and into the 26th World Cup?
Yes.
Joining us for more reaction, Alejandro Moreno from his comfortable Connecticut home. I'll start here in the LA studio. Herc, you hear the commentary there. They created enough chances, incredible effort. What do you think of Berhalter's analysis?
Don't want to make excuses, but here's an excuse. And that's what it is. And that's what it's been with this U.S. men's national team and Greg Berhalter. The question was asked if there's been progress since the 9 months that Greg Berhalter's been back with his national team. There's not been progress. They've regressed. It's very simple. You look at the performances, you look at these players under Greg Berhalter. I mean, we were all together post-game of the Jamaica game where they were 10 seconds away from getting bounced at home in the semifinal of the CONCACAF Nations League. And it was an own goal off a corner kick that goes in that gives them life. Haji Wright comes on, scores 2 goals to take them to the final, where again, they do what they always do. They beat the worst generation Mexican players that we've seen in our lifetime. These are excuses. They've regressed under Greg Berhalter, and you can say, certainly it's circumstantial that you're in this situation because the red card to Timothy Weah in Panama. But we know it goes beyond the red card. And that's my fear here, is that the excuses will come out for Greg Berhalter, the U.S. Soccer Federation, where it's circumstantial. The red card to Timothy Weah. Behind the 8-ball playing a man down. It's circumstantial. The blown VAR call, the goal that was scored, it was offsides. When we can clearly see this team is no better than it was before the World Cup, at the World Cup. They're getting worse. The players in their club situations and the players collectively together. While it may have been a valiant effort, a lot of energy versus Uruguay, and it was closer than some people would have thought before the tournament started, you never really threatened Uruguay. Knowing that your back's against the wall and you had to win the game, you had to score a goal and you couldn't score a goal. It's the same story as always. Top 15 opponent, you're not going to beat them. Previous generations have done more with less. Why can't this golden generation do it? Why can't Greg Berhalter get them to do it?
Casey, to Herc's point about this being a must-win for the U.S., can I throw some numbers at you?
Sure.
They had 3 shots on target.
Yep.
They're outpossessed. They're outshot. In the first half, which is where everybody says they played marvelously, they had 1 shot on target and a .09 expected goal. Greg Berhalter saying it was a great effort. What am I missing?
Well, you're not missing anything. You're missing that before this tournament started, we all felt that Uruguay was by far the strongest team in this group, and that the U.S. should get in as the second. And if they're able to compete against Uruguay, and they did compete against Uruguay, I mean, but we didn't expect them to actually beat Uruguay. So the big disappointment was the mistake against Panama, which then meant you had to have arguably this team's best result under Greg Berhalter to get yourself through. So that was the slip up. But we'll go back. We'll go back to, when Greg was hired by U.S. Soccer, he had a couple goals. Goal number 1, qualify for the World Cup. Goal number 2, based off of what the draw looked like, were you a favorite or not to go through? The draw came through. Yeah, you should have gone through, in which they did. So he met expectation. Then the question mark was, do you rehire him to take it further? And now let's assess the situation since he's taken it that second time. We're looking at about a 50-50 record.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, to Herc's point, the inability to beat the teams that would kind of take you to that next level. So I think that's where the true judgment comes from.
Can I ask about the players? Because we're obviously talking about the manager. Did anybody play well last night? Can you point to anybody throughout the tournament and say they played well?
A few guys.
Who? Go ahead. Well, not played okay.
Yeah,
well,
the
stood out.
overall, there's 3 games, right? If I want to say a few players played well, I would point to a Pulisic that I thought was playing well. I would point to an Anthony Robinson. But that's the problem here. There are not enough good performances and a lot of very weak performances. A lot of players who, quite frankly, are getting the benefit of the doubt because of who they are and what they've done in the past here and not currently what they can offer today. We can go to Adams in the midfield, who's on a minutes count. We can go to Weston McKennie, who seems like his mind is elsewhere today. And you can go to a Richards, who looked like a shadow of himself in this game. Matt Turner, where has he been? A Giovanni Reina, by his standards, quiet. By his U.S. men's national team standards, quiet. But Balogun showed you something he's not shown you before. But certainly, when you add all this up, we really shouldn't be that surprised talking about the players. Look at the seasons they've had individually abroad in their club situations. I'm not surprised by the outcome. I'm surprised by how you got to this outcome.
When you're in a tournament situation, you need your stars to rise, and then you need some surprises. You need that 2 or 3 players to go, I didn't expect that. And again, you had decent, but you didn't have enough marquee situations where you said, wow, in against an Uruguay that is very difficult to break down. Where's that 22-yard smash into the upper corner? Where's that combination or that I'm going to beat, what are free kicks? You're marking me, I'm marking you. Can I get the better of you in this circumstance? And it didn't happen consistently enough to get yourself above.
You're not good enough where collectively you're not good enough. Individually, you think you can get away with it.
Let's bring in Alejandro here. We're asking the U.S. effectively, Ale, to compete against the very best in the world. In your opinion, how big was the gap between the U.S. and Uruguay in this game? And do you think that gap is down to players or more manager?
Well, I think the gap is significant. And some people may suggest that the 1-0 result doesn't really paint a clear picture and wouldn't tell you that the gap is significant. I actually think that the gap is significant simply because the United States could have played the rest of the night and they were not going to score against Uruguay. They were not creating enough. They were not finding enough spaces. And that's to the credit of Uruguay, who, by the way, will grind, as we mentioned in last night's show, will grind with the best of them and will enjoy the grinding aspect of the game. And they did that so very well, absorbing pressure, putting numbers around the ball, forcing turnovers and forcing the United States into maybe have chances, maybe as best as that can get for the United States. It was that. It was have chances and deflections and here and there, but nothing really with clarity. And so I do think that the gap is significant between the United States and a team like Uruguay. And the gap, I think, is built upon the fact that when you look at the totality of the individual players and when you look at the totality of the performances, these are the facts. The United States played 3 matches, and this is fact. This is beyond discussion. This is not opinion. This is not rhetoric or narrative. They played 3 matches in the group stage of Copa America, and they lost 2 out of those 3 matches, right? And the one team that they did beat was Bolivia, who I think if we put together an ESPN FC team right now, we may have a chance. We may have a chance against Bolivia.
Take the under in that game.
I just don't see the steps being taken forward. I don't see progress. And I don't see progress from the coaching perspective, but I also don't see enough responsibility being taken upon by this group of players, who they can all speak a good game. And man, they can all give an interview. And they all been sort of media trained. And yes, they can look at the camera and tell you all the right things. And they can be in commercials. And they can push sort of their own narrative out there. But in the end, all of those things don't count if you're unable to deliver results on the field. And the very lowest expectation that this team should have had coming into the tournament would have been getting out of the group. And the fact that they didn't get out of the group, it tells you you're taking a step back, both with the coaching position, but also with the players themselves. And I always have to look at the players, because as a former player myself, I like to think that the responsibility is on the guys performing on the field. And if you're unable to beat Panama, and then you leave yourself with the prospect of having to beat Uruguay in a game that truly mattered, and you cannot create chances, that's on you. That's on you. Beyond what we can talk about Greg Berhalter, and I think the criticism is clear and is fair of Greg Berhalter, I also think that when we look at the players, we have to say, oh, the expectation doesn't quite match the player personnel and the talent level of this player personnel. We have this perception of what this team is or what should be. Well, results tell us a story that is quite different of what we think it should be. And this is no different. Oh, by the way, this is no different than the Mexican situation, because Mexico huffed and puffed against Ecuador and did nothing to really, truly threaten the goal. The United States, they huffed and puffed against Uruguay, and they did nothing to truly threaten the goal. There's a parallel here between the two, between Mexico and the United States, and what they have in common is failure in this tournament.
Casey, to Ala's point there about this kind of golden generation, how do we evaluate this group of players in light of this tournament failure?
Well, I think what we're looking at is a talented pool. We're looking at guys that when maybe somebody's out, somebody else steps in, and it's not a big drop off. But in the end, I mean, I think Ali's point is 100% valid. It's about results, and it's about how you're able to come up with a result that maybe is against the form book. That's maybe against, can you then take it to that next level, not just the status quo?
How come this group of players, for all their talent, hasn't been able to achieve that yet then? We've not seen that. Even once. We've not seen a true marquee win outside of Mexico.
True.
Casey, they played 24 games against top 30 competition by these ELO rankings, which are not very good, but they're at least better than FIFA. Greg Berhalter's won 6 of them, 2 of them against not Mexico. And one of those was Ecuador in a friendly. The other was Iran at the World Cup. I mean, they have not been able to, for all their talent. There has to be a why to that.
And look at the names you just put out. Ecuador and Iran. You're not talking that you pulled a shock defeat against an Argentina or a Germany or an England or a Belgium or somebody like that. So yes, it is. It has been, the biggest stumbling block in that step forward. And it has, you have to think it's a combination. It's not just sign this coach, snap fingers, and everything cleans itself up. And it's not, here's this phenomenal group of players who will figure it out. It has to be a combination of the two. And I think it comes down to, in the past, there was zero expectation at times for the U.S. to get a big result. And then when it did, it was like the big embarrassment for the other team. You're not sneaking up on teams anymore if you're the United States. So there's a little more expectation on the players to be able to the pressure of a team that is supposed to win or regularly win. And that's not what's being matched. And that was kind of, I think, one of the criticism of this group of players. You're not bleeding for the country. You're not bleeding for the team. You're not doing that. Okay, we saw it yesterday. But the problem is you can't just say, today I'm going to do that. That, and to Greg's point, it has to be the standard every day.
What do you think, Kirk? Should they keep him?
No.
There's an argument to be made for continuity ahead of a World Cup. You don't want to change things. Give me the other side of the argument.
You're too comfortable? That these players think they run themselves? Listen, Greg Berhalter is culpable for a lot of things here, but so are these players.
Well, we can't get rid of the players.
No, oh yeah, you can.
Can't get rid of all of them.
It's a lot
Can't get rid of all of them.
Hold on.
It's not like a club situation
hold on a
where you
second.
truly can go buy new players.
It's a national team. Either you want
Yeah.
to play for the team
Yeah.
or you
All right, who are you getting rid of then?
whoever you want. But don't say this guy can't get. There's not one single player that without them the program dies. That's a reality. After you were gone,
100%,
it continued.
100%.
That's
I agree
the
with you.
way this
Yeah.
is. These players are culpable as well. Nobody told Serginho Dest to be an idiot versus Trinidad and Tobago. Okay? Lost him a game. Nobody told Timothy Weah hit the guy upside the head. Lost him the game. Nobody told these players to do the stupid things they've done in games. Okay? Nobody told Greg Berhalter to make decisions he made. They do it themselves. They have to be held accountable. It's a situation now where these players need to grow up. They're no longer kids. They're not 20-year-olds in their first World Cup. That shouldn't be well, they're young, cut them a break. They are now in a situation where they are formed individuals and professionals on this national team with lots of caps.
Can they grow under this manager? Do you see sign of growth?
I don't see signs of growth.
under
I
this
see
manager?
I see signs
Well, then
of
I think
regression.
then the answer is clear, right?
For me, it is, and it's been clear. Listen, welcome to the show, everybody. Those of you who work in TV, who work in media, who are all of a sudden now on this boat, welcome. You are seeing what many of us have seen for quite some time, that these players under this coach, there is no progression. There's an actual regression if you actually look at the last 9 months.
Well, I sense hesitation from you.
No. I mean, I just think it's. We all talk about it all the time. We all talk about the countries, either league-wise or country-wise. Bad decision, boom, gone, next. Now, I also believe that in some situations it's a bit knee-jerk, but I think in other situations there has to be an accountability.
We're 5 years in.
Right. And
5 years in a second contract.
And if you want to be in the same conversations of the elite countries, the elite leagues and all that, there has to be an accountability. Now, what that looks like, because I still don't think U.S. soccer is at a state where they can go and just throw money at problems.
Case, look at this manager answering questions on that podium. You know, how unsure of himself he is. Like, it just screams no confidence. And this is the individual that's supposed to lead these players on? Like, we could sit here and talk till we're blue in the face about economics, but at some point, it's
economics,
action.
I know
at some point,
no,
it's the message you're sending.
I agree with you 100%, but there's still, when we are sitting in programs and we're getting list of managers from the Zidane to the Mourinhos to the stuff, we're not there yet.
You're saying you're effectively, the argument here, and I don't know that you're making this argument, is that Berhalter's a decent option because you can't go get a Zidane or a Klopp or a whatever for $15-20 million, which I actually don't know that I agree with. I don't know that that's beyond the realm of possibility for U.S. soccer, and no one from U.S. soccer has come out and said that that's beyond the realm of possibility. In fact, when they talk about it, they seem to think like they have deep pockets that they can do big things.
Can I just really quickly, from a point of, forget the economics in a second, what in Greg Berhalter's nature has led us to believe that he's the right sporting coach for this team? Because international football is a pragmatic game. And here I watch every 2 to 3 years in international competition, France and Argentina, who play the most pragmatic style of them all and get to finals. And by the way, they have world-class players. They have a Messi on their team. They have an Mbappe on their team. And you, as the U.S. men's national team, don't have a world-class player to that level, and you're trying to play this collective football, building out of the back with progressive wing play. At one point, do you say, hey, economics aside, is he the right coach for this team?
Ale, what do you think?
About life in general? Look, I thought even back then, and I said it back then, it was a mistake to go back into the Greg Berhalter project once that project had come to an end when his contract ran out. It was a mistake to go back and feel like the results were going to be different when we already knew what that looked like. That showed, as we have mentioned in the past, a lack of ambition and a real lack of vision and leadership from the federation. But once you have gone down this path, now you've created an issue for yourself because, as has been established by the guys, there hasn't been progression and there hasn't been steps taken forward. And so therefore, you can't help but think there's got to be something better. But that decision should have been made a long time ago. And now I think we're far too deep. We're elbow deep, we're knee deep, and it feels like it's a little too late to try to go backwards. Regardless, the guys were mentioning elite competition, and Herc mentioned France, and I'll just bring France for a second. And just to consider what serious teams and serious federations and serious managers around the world go through. France and Didier Deschamps, and I'll bring the name of Didier Deschamps, they have won the World Cup. They have won the World Cup, the pinnacle of the competition, international competition in the world. In the world, they have won it. He has won it. His team in this current Euros has actually advanced out of the group, past the round of 16, and they're now into the quarterfinals. And yet, Didier Deschamps, yes, World Cup champion as a player and as a manager with great success, who has been leading this team for over a decade, is under criticism, is under pressure. And this team, under pressure. And Kylian Mbappe, under pressure. And so that's the standard. That's the standard for the elite level. And if it's good enough for France, and it's good enough for Didier Deschamps to be under pressure and be criticized, you better believe it, that is good enough for the United States and Greg Berhalter. So the pressure is coming and should continue to come. What I fear and what I think is more likely to happen is, as I mentioned to you guys last week, the only source of pressure for Greg Berhalter is you two in Full America saying, hey, what's going on here? And that's about it.
Yeah.
This will blow over. This will pass. This too shall pass. And eventually, Greg Berhalter will be lining up with this team in 2026. If you were going to make a change, the chance was when the contract ran out. Now we're in too deep. So buckle up, strap in. It's going to be a hell of a ride.
I don't know if you guys saw the statement from U.S. Soccer that came out late last night promising a comprehensive review. People who know the game will read that statement and will know that it sounds very similar to a statement that was dropped after the women's national team went out of the World Cup. You know what happened 2 weeks after that? Manager was gone.
They went out and got the best
I'm not
available?
saying. I'm
The
not
best coach
saying.
available?
They did.
All right.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. That's why I should always read between the lines when it comes to these statements from U.S. Soccer. All right, so that's Group C done and dusted. The U.S. is going home. Panama and Uruguay are on to the knockout rounds. Meanwhile, Group D wraps up tonight. Costa Rica and Paraguay with a little bit on that game, but really everybody focused on Colombia against Brazil. Colombia with a draw. They win the group. Brazil needs a victory to take Group D and avoid Uruguay in the quarterfinals. And a reminder, we will be live with you right here on ESPN Plus immediately following Brazil-Colombia. Should be right around 11 p.m. on the East Coast, right around 8 p.m. out here on the West Coast.
Why'd they make us the same size as Sebi then?
Yeah, well, you know, you got to beef me up a little bit. All right, that'll do it for us here in LA. Connecticut studios, we cede control back to you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's focus then, shall we, on those two remaining round of 16 matches in the European Championships today. We'll kick things off with the early game, the Dutch taking on Romania. Netherlands, of course, laboured their way through the group stages, but they finally clicked and clicked in style as they beat Romania comfortably 3-0. Actually flatters Romania. It could have been so much more for the Dutch, who missed a few, more than a few opportunities within this game. but they are through then to the quarterfinals. And look who's here. Oh, Mario Malchiot is here. Mario, you didn't even have to sweat this one.
Oh, what a great game. Oh, man, it's so much happiness. I'm telling you, so much happiness. Finally, look how many countries we have. You talk about England, you talk about France, everybody is always on their back, and in Holland is no different. So I think this was one of the first games that Koeman actually came on TV and he said it. He said, I didn't want to listen to all the critics and all the things people were saying. And he put a team out, and the way he put them out, it actually, I have to be honest with you, Romania started the game off well. But when they got out of that pressure, I don't know why they did that, but the moment they did that, it was all Holland and Mr. Gakpo.
Yeah, Gakpo, of course, fantastic throughout this game, Craig. It's kind of good to see a Dutch side performing as they did today, considering what we saw in the group stages.
Yeah, and considering what we've seen really from Portugal and more so England.
Yeah.
Against opposition that
Yeah, France as well.
France, well, you know, to be fair to France, Belgium, even though I don't think they're a great side, they've still got some strength.
Right.
You know, Slovakia, Slovenia, with all respect, maybe even Romania, who've been okay up to this point. You're expecting it more one-sided, and it was. And, you know, but the Dutch were sort of slightly frustrating in the opposition penalty area. Particularly Xavi Simons in the first half, you know, touching, they just hit this thing first time and he had touch and trying to beat two defenders in the box. But as you said, Gakpo was excellent. They got a bit of pace about them when they get on the counter-attack, once they get in behind your midfield. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a great Dutch side, but there was a very, very good performance in the end. And, you know, a comfortable 3-0 win, but Cody Gakpo just floating around, creating stuff. I mean, Dragusin, it was terrible defending for that. I think it was the second goal when he's Frank is a defender and he's almost like, oh, the ball's gone out, I'm not going to make a challenge. And then Gakpo never lets it go, gets in there, bang, that's the tie over. That is the tie over at that point. So fair play to Holland. Maybe they can upset somebody in the quarterfinals.
Yep. Yeah, they've got Turkey, of course, in the quarterfinals. We'll talk about Turkey a little bit later on. What was different today?
It clicked. You said that before, introducing that game, comparing to the others, and you mentioned the other big nations. They are the only one who clicked and changed from the group stages to the knockout stages, and I found them very, very strong. Well, the first 20 minutes, Romania put the pressure, gave some energy, but as soon as they conceded the goal, it was over. And I found that the coach found on the right side, and Mario can talk about it because you mentioned Gakpo, but I think between Bergwijn and Dumfries, that was a hell of a duo. They worked so well. Dumfries was everywhere, and I think there was something special, especially the first half, where we could feel that the danger was coming from the left side and the right side, which wasn't the case during the group stages games. And it's interesting to see the Netherlands coming back to their best. I still have some doubts defensively, especially the two centre-backs who are very well mature centre-backs. But sometimes, you know, it's like they lose the concentration. So they only have to be careful. Otherwise, I feel them very complete and a danger for the rest of the competition.
Liverpool supporters be questioning, where's this Gakpo when he puts on a Liverpool shirt, Mario?
No, I mean, like, look, at Liverpool, we know he can get in and out, you understand? But when he played for Holland, I saw him on TV talking, and, you know, in the Netherlands, and he made a comment, and he said, look, I know that the people are criticizing us and not happy the way we're performing and the way we are playing. He said, but today, he said, we're going to go out there, and we had a conversation with the team players among each other, and including the coaches and stuff, and we were talking to each other very direct, he said. He said, like, you could say whatever you thought and whatever you felt was not right. And after that conversation, they said, like, he said, now I'm ready to play the game. So he came back into the game, and I think what Frank just mentioned is, like, everybody was surprised that Koeman picked Bergwijn. Why? Because they thought he was going to pick Malen. Because Malen is normally a guy that likes to use the pace behind the defensive line. But what he did, he mentioned it, he said, I use Bergwijn because at Ajax, he plays between the lines, and he's very good at that. He said, when we're going to play against Romania, we need a player like that. And then later on, I might have to substitute him because physically he's not going to be fit. The guy didn't play for the last two games. He puts on Malen, And it was exactly the answer what he was looking for. Malen to use the space that was behind the defensive line. And he opened, I mean, the way he scored the first goal, the second goal of Holland was, of course, Gakpo. But then the second goal, he took it on, split right between the two defenders, and then slid the goal in. I think just what you guys said, look, when you watch the national team of Holland, we are so focused on playing beautiful football. And when it doesn't go right, that is when we hurt ourselves. But when we just are about our business and want to be effective, we play football like this. And I think this is, for me, I always said, like, just do the business. Don't always try to think you're Brazil. We are Holland. Just play the game.
But Gakpo, he was a bit like it at the World Cup in Qatar, wasn't he?
Yeah, great.
You know, he's like almost like a different player. And maybe for Holland, they haven't got the amount of superstars that they once had. They've got one or two, but they haven't got this conveyor belt of these huge names that were playing at all the biggest clubs. And maybe Cody Gakpo feels at Holland that he is the sort of talisman in that forward area. I know there's Memphis Depay, and he's very experienced, and they've got a bit of pace, and Bergwijn, and Xavi Simons, and Daniel Malen. I get all that, but maybe Gakpo feels he's the guy that sort of glues it all together from the middle of the park, getting forward, getting in the box, creating chances. When he's at Liverpool, you're back in a mix of a lot of really good players. And, you know, it's not just about me, and I might not even be in the team, and there's a different pressure where normally you go and play for your country, there's normally more pressure.
Yeah.
But for some players, I think getting away from not being a regular at the club or not knowing if they're in the team every week, which I think Gakpo is probably in that, he's in that scenario where when Jurgen Klopp was naming the team on a Friday or Saturday morning, whatever it was, am I playing or not?
Yeah.
Am I in the side? Where he's at Holland and he's fit, he's playing. And it makes him just that more confident. And then you see the best and you see a better Cody Gakpo.
Because he won that role with the national team because of what he did with his former club. When he signed for Liverpool, he had to prove to get the role of a leader. He didn't get it. Salah had it, for example, and he had to get it. And he didn't get it yet. So hopefully it's going to come for him. But it's very strange that he feels more comfortable with the national team than with the club, which is normally the other way around.
But they're one of the teams, Holland, that we didn't think would obliterate the opposition. We were waiting on one of the others doing it. England are going to wake up. No. Portugal, Ronaldo, it's going to happen for him. No. You know, so these sort of France, again, Mbappe, this nose scenario, it's, you know, he's going to put it behind him. The French are going to kick on. Yeah, it was a bit more of a sterner opposition in Belgium, a little bit. But the Dutch were the one side. You thought, right, this game could be extra. This game could be tight. This game could be a bit of a problem for Ronald Koeman. But in the end, it wasn't. And they were very, very professional. It could have easily been 5 or 6 with the chances that they created. So yeah, they're in a good position. And as you say, it's Turkey they've got. So no, it could end up being a pretty good Euros for them.
Can they win it, Mario?
Yeah. I think, look, winning the tournament, you also need a little bit of luck. And I think that's going to be one of the key things. And I understand what you mean. Look, they didn't come into this tournament as favorites. But, you know, like sometimes you need a bit of luck to get yourself through that. I mean, if I highlight luck, I don't want to call Portugal luck, but Greece was definitely, you know, years ago, one of the lucky ones that went all the way and winning it. But one of the things is what you guys already said, is like, if he can make sure, like that, we don't have a team full of stars, right? Probably one of the key guys that we have in our team is Van Dijk, right? And then you have maybe Depay you could put up front. And then we have the injury of De Jong. That's how their team is built. And the rest is coming around them. But one of the key things is that we have some young guys that want to prove themselves. So like today we had Schouten, you know, like Schouten, the guy that plays in the middle of the park. What was the key thing of him? Was he plays at PSV, and PSV won the league this season. And we talked about Gakpo, but Gakpo was the captain of PSV back in it. So this team now normally is a lot of influence of Ajax. Now it's a little bit more influence of PSV because, you know, like Schouten you had, he came off and then he put Veerman on. Veerman was the guy that he took off after 20 minutes in the game against Austria, and everybody talked about in Holland. They were like, you know, this guy was a diamond in Holland, winning the league. And when it came to the national team, we talked about it on the show before, the shirt was heavy. He looked nervous and uncomfortable. But what Koeman did, He brought him on today again, and he said it. He said, because if not, I know why he did it, because if not, he would have broken the kit. And he brought him back on just to give him the feeling like, listen, you're still part of the group, and I'm going to put you back in. Brought him back on, and you could see the guy, after the game he spoke, he had one of the biggest smiles, but you should have seen him. He was crying when he took him off after 20 minutes. It's great. This is how football is. You want a coach that's got your back, and he definitely got one.
But yeah, to answer your question, will the Netherlands win it? No, I don't think so. And I'll tell you one of the reasons. They've never won anything in their puff.
Well, Mario, take that. Yeah,
No,
never
we
won
did,
anything.
man. 88
Never-
euros, man. Easy now. eh?
88, yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Did they?
Ruud Gullit.
88, we won.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Well, that was-
we know you
hey,
remember.
Remember Ruud Gullit?
Don't be angry because you guys going home,
They've
man.
never
Don't
won
be
I mean,
angry.
they've never won the World Cup.
Oh, yeah, right.
Van
Yeah,
Basten
right.
volley.
I don't remember Ruud Gullit's got down. I don't remember that.
Remember that volley from Van Basten against Dasayev?
Marco van Basten.
No,
No, my God. What a goal.
What? Hey,
no,
listen.
No, he pretends he's lying right now. Don't worry, Mario. Do you remember?
Craig,
The 88
Craig, if
euros
you
didn't
did not
count.
see that, I will really get upset with you from today on. It's done. If you never saw the goal of Van Basten, I'm
I've
done.
never seen the Van Basten.
Let's look at it.
Never. Hold on. Who's Van Basten?
Oh, who's this fat bastard? lad?
Who's Gullit?
So the Dutch then through to the quarterfinals. Of course, we learned from the second game that they will face Turkey. What a match! Let's face it, some of the round of 16 games have been so dull of late. However, this certainly was not that. Turkey would take the lead very early on. Within the opening minute, they would then double their advantage. You could argue against the run of play to make it 2-0. Austria then through the kitchen sink to Turkey. Almost got the equaliser, but an amazing save from at the end of the game, which apparently had a 94% chance of going in. Such was the brilliance of that stop. It was enough to see Turkey then advance to the knockout stages to face the Dutch. Austria, of course, a lot of admirers of Austria throughout this campaign go home. There's an incredible scene at the end. You just had the Turkey players lying on the floor, just looked exhausted, didn't they?
I'm exhausted trying to think how there's a 94% chance of the ball.
Lay on the floor.
There you go.
How do you work that out?
Old XG, isn't it?
But that
Old
was
times
that
G.
was the Gordon Bank save.
It was incredible.
Well, hopefully now we'll never have to see that Gordon Bank save again. Because
Well,
that save was so good.
it was unbelievable.
I know, and particularly
Yeah,
the time in the
yeah,
game
Yeah.
was incredible. I would say 96% if I'm being honest with you. Just to be boring and a bit different, contrarian. But, you know, Turkey early got Demiral. Oh my God. What a game he had. What a
Yeah.
talisman.
Amazing.
His head just seemed to be everywhere, defending, heading it away, scoring. He was incredible, but that was an upset.
Yes.
I was saying to you when we came on, just before we came on air, okay, it was a friendly, but Austria beat Turkey in March 6-1. So, you know, I know things have changed, get into the Euros, and, you know, it's a different mindset, but all things were pointing to Austria here. They've looked pretty solid in this competition so far, played some good stuff. My God, the first 10 or 15 minutes was incredible. After Turkey scored, the ball just never came out of the Turkey penalty area. It was Austria just penned them in, and there was balls fizzing across the 6-yard box, fizzing across the goal line. I mean, how Turkey didn't concede a goal. And then it sort of flattened down a little bit, calmed down, got a bit more controlled. And obviously, as the second half wore on, as you said, it was the kitchen sink sort of stuff. And you got to give Turkey an unbelievable amount of credit. They're a country that we talk about pressure, talk about the England players more than about pressure. These guys back home in Turkey have an incredible amount of pressure put on them. Any sort of failure, and they know what is waiting on them when that plane touches down in Istanbul. So you got to give them a lot of credit. They defended with their lives. The keeper, as you said, made an amazing save. But this is an upset. This is an upset because Austria were the favourite.
Yeah, they were, of course, rightly so, considering what we saw from the group stages. What was different today?
Well, I think the scenario was different, and went into that crazy game because of that early goal. Then after you have that cross, from Austria, the ball crosses the line when Baumgartner is not able to get the ball and score, and it's saved on the line by defenders, and it's a big mess, but it goes on the outside. And everything you had an action for Austria, Turkey managed to sort it out and grew the confidence into their game. And you're talking about the pressure that they have and the pride that they show every game they play for their national team. So that grew again and made them quite invincible.
Yeah.
And they believed that they could believe in it, and the confidence grew and grew, and they scored a second goal. And even after when Grigorich scored, and 10 minutes or 15 minutes away from the end of the game, you could feel that Turkey were ready to die on the field. Turkish players, they were ready to die. And when you had that save,
yes,
I mean, you say, okay, it's all for them. And it's why they went all on the floor, because they couldn't believe that they could hold against a team like Austria. I mean, Austria, we saw them going to the semi-final, and they are going home because of the bravery of the Turkish player.
If I was that goalkeeper, I'd want to go back to Turkey tonight.
Oh,
hey, have my house.
Yeah.
Hey, have my car. Hey, have the
just milk it for everything it's worth.
And I'll save you and I'll spare you. They were missing their best player.
Oh, who was their player? Who was their best player, Craig? No Çalhanoğlu, of course.
Çalhanoğlu.
He was out.
And what a player he is.
Mario, incredible, Mario, overall. And just the atmosphere that the Turkish supporters create is going to be incredible against your boys.
It's going to be incredible. Why? Because we have a lot of Turkish people in Holland. So the support is always going to be, I mean, look, in Germany, they have a lot of Turkish people, and you have in Holland a lot of Turkish people. So they're going to support. And what Greg said, he highlighted it. I was in Istanbul, last year, I think it was. And the feeling that you have, and I had enough of my mates playing for different teams, you understand, in Turkey. And the passion the Turkish possess regarding their team, and now you're going to talk about their country. It's incredible. It's beautiful to watch, of course, because they stand behind him. And when things go well, of course, that's what you want, because when you have that much support, you want everything to go well. But the thing is, for me, the key things are, haven't you seen, like most of the countries, when they go so strongly and physically after games, they kind of struggle the next game. Romania had it. You understand? It looked like they kind of like towards the end, the energy was down. Austria had the same thing. Their energy levels was incredible against France. And then when Holland came, we knew it was going to be a problem for Holland.
So
now,
is Mario saying
Turkey?
Is Mario saying that it's going to be an easy game? This game?
I think he says Turkey.
No, I'm not saying that
he shouldn't even play.
But I'm just no, Frank. No, Frank. I'm going to say that it's going to be very interesting to see if Turkey is going to have that energy that they want to have again, what they showed today. Because if they won't, it will be a problem for them. And I'm not saying that, no, definitely not going to say it's going to be an easy day for Holland. Because the way the passion is going to be, the Turks and the Dutch against each other, it's like fire. That's why that game is incredible. I'm not missing a minute of that one.
Yeah, the lineup's actually good when you take a look at the quarterfinals. And of course, looking ahead to that, the Gab and Jules podcast will be doing that, looking ahead to the final 8 sides who are left in this European Championships. Be sure to check out the latest edition of their show. Portugal, of course, through to the quarters after an emotional match yesterday. Into the quarterfinals, crying, says the front page of AS. Here's Roberto Martinez on Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, first and foremost, I think it's a constant example for us. When you see a player, the only player, let's say, that has ever played 6 European Championships, and he's got that responsibility, that desire, that belief as a young man. Those emotions are incredible for someone that has won everything and has experienced everything. He doesn't need to care that much. And that's why I thank him for being the way he is, for caring for the group, for being someone that after missing a penalty, which only the penalty takers can miss penalties, and you have to give credit to the goalkeeper. He was the first penalty taker. I was certain that he had to be the first penalty taker and show us the way to the victory. And I think we're all very, very proud of our captain. The dressing room was delighted with what he's done, and I think he gave us all a lesson that you need to live every day as the last one. You need to have real high standards and never give up. Life and football gives you difficult moments, and the way he reacted is a real example that we are very proud in Portuguese football.
Mario is still with us. Here's a phrase I didn't think I'd say. I missed you yesterday, Craig. Because I was fascinated to see what you made of it all.
Well, first and foremost, doesn't matter, and nobody's questioning Cristiano Ronaldo's desire to play for his country. But it doesn't matter if he's played €2, €4, €6 or €10. Makes no difference. Makes no difference how emotional he is, how passionate he is. The question is, can he help the team? And that's a big question at the moment. And the whole emotional side of it that I know you guys talked about yesterday, for me is less of a concern. The big concern is there is a fine line between responsibility and greed. The responsibility to take the penalty, I'm okay with. I personally think somebody like Bruno Fernandes, and it's proven he has a better record. The stats will tell you. But he wanted to take the penalty because it's about him. So I don't have such a big issue with that. And then he took one, and obviously in the penalties, that takes some guts. It does. Where I have the problem between responsibility of scoring a penalty for your country and the greed, and where that line dissects, is that he cannot take every free kick on the edge of the box. His record does not stand up.
Oh, yeah.
His record does not stand up. And yet his manager and his teammates stand by continually and give Ronaldo his ball. They give him his ball. And to me, that's a dereliction of duty from the management and from senior players. Have these senior players, like Bernardo Silva and others, got no guts? Bruno Fernandes, have they got no guts to go up and say to him, hey,
They cannot.
the last time you scored was
You say they can't,
back
Frank?
in the day.
Of course they cannot. They cannot. You cannot. I said that before the
You
Euro.
cannot allow somebody to continue to take free kicks from
cannot.
dangerous areas that doesn't score from.
Can you imagine Bernardo Silva coming to Ronaldo and say, well, you know what, I'm shooting the free kick. I think he's going to start laughing. He said, are you crazy or what? You are talking to King Ronaldo. He does whatever he wants.
There were one Šeško missed chance, Diego Costa's left boot away from going out.
Yeah, and
that's how close they were from going out. So you cannot allow this sentimental claptrap of a guy who has been a great player but never scores a what's the problem, Mario? You want a guy to take free kicks all the time that hits the wall and puts it over the bar?
No. I agree with that, right? There has to be a sensible part on that, yes. But when the penalty comes there, you understand, you want also the guy that has, look, okay, regardless if you see somebody else has a better record, but he was not standing in front of the, I didn't have the feeling that when he was standing for, okay, Albach, I know he's a great goalkeeper, but still, when he stood there, I thought he's going to bury that goal. No problem. Free kicks, I totally agree with you, for him always stepping behind it. But you also have to understand, this is the diamond of their country. In Lisbon or in Porto, I've been to 2 cities, you understand, in a couple of months' time, and the way they treat that kid, it's a different thing. It's not like you're just going to walk up to him and going to be like, you think one of the players are going to walk up to him and say, like, I'm going to take the penalty? Come on now. No, they all want to take things the way he took it.
I've just said this, I don't have such a problem with a penalty. I do have a problem
with free kicks. During
90 minutes of a game, the same guy grabbing the ball and saying, this is my ball, this is my moment, this is all about me, I'm taking it. When there are others, there's a bigger picture here. Portugal could have gone out last night. Easily. Could have gone out. And now, you cannot continue. If I'm playing in a team, Frank, I don't give a toss who you are. I don't care if it's Rudhul, I don't care who it is. If you're continuing to miss, the ball's getting taken off you, and I'm passing it to a teammate.
I think, Craig, you're misunderstanding what we're saying. I think Mario and myself, we completely agree with you. It's just saying that it's impossible for the other. That's it. Well,
I don't.
Yes, it's impossible.
I don't.
But it's
Bernardo Silva, Champions League winner, won the Premier League.
Craig.
No, and that's my point. That is wrong. That is wrong.
We don't say
but Craig, Martinez was my coach. I know how Martinez is. Martinez is never going to do that. No, Martinez is never going to do that because he was my coach too. I know exactly how he is. He is the Mr. Psychology. He wants to talk like, even there were moments in the team when I was playing with him. I had a go. I wanted to have a go at the team because we were not performing. You know what Martinez says? Mario, please don't do that because some of the guys cannot handle it. You think he is going to allow some of the players going to go against Ronaldo? No, you got to be kidding now. No,
Well,
he knows
I
tell you right now, he goes against them, he is probably out. He's probably has to
Well, I'll
go.
tell you what, he'll continue the same management style that he had at Belgium. And where did that take him? Where did that take him? Pampering to the De Bruynes and Eden Hazards and Thibaut Courtois and all the pandering to these superstars. How'd that work out for him? How'd that work out at Belgium? So what you need is the people that are the best managers are the strongest managers. Can make the biggest decisions. Now, sorry, Frank, but Cristiano Ronaldo, I am not detracting him in any way, shape, or form as a career. But we have gone way past the stage whether this guy can be taken on free kicks or taken off the field or dropped. Now, I heard the conversation yesterday and I understand. Gonzalo Ramos, it's not as if you're bringing in Pele. I get it. But there's other ways to skin a cat. You could play Rafael Leao through the middle for his power and his pace.
You got Jota, you got Felix.
You got Jota, you got João Felix. You could chop and change things up, even if it's with half an hour to go. Rafael Leao's pace on tired defenders, bring in one or two other players. No, he wanted to, and I agreed with yesterday. Whoever it was that said it, extra time. A 39-year-old, is he going to be fresh or tired? But yet he left him on because he was frightened to make.
That was the same for Pepe. That was the same for Pepe.
And to that point, as you say, Mario, you've played under Roberto Martinez. Has he not got what it takes to be a top-class manager? Because he won't make that big decision. He won't pull off Cristiano Ronaldo after an hour if he feels he has to change things around because he's worried how psychologically that's going to affect his star player.
Yeah, look, being a big manager, he's already. I mean, if you highlight, look, if you take Belgium on and then you be the coach of Portugal, I cannot say to him like, hey, you're not. You understand? But the only thing for me is you're talking about the elite level. That is where the question comes. You understand? We're talking about, when you look at the Peps, the Ancelottis. Yeah, that is that's the elite ones. The Zidane. I'm not qualifying him yet at that level. Why not? It's because he has a different philosophy the way he goes to work. And there were moments as well when I was a coach, I wanted to have meeting with the team, and I knew that he was sometimes didn't like us to go really strong to them. So what I would do, I would set up a meeting and I would tell him, we come to the pitch 15 minutes later because I would do the meeting myself. And in that season, you understand, he was my coach and I took that responsibility myself because I was the captain of the team. I didn't care at that moment what the coach was going to tell me because I knew he was going to go against me and I wanted to win. So I'm not saying that I'm Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not. And I don't think like that, but he's the captain of that team. And if you saw the reaction of all the players when he got emotional, it proves you also the way he spoke about the meeting, you understand, Martinez, and also how the players react to him. So that's why I think in that whole squad level, at the moment right now, they are part of the tournament and they will not change a lot in the philosophy, the way they're working right now. If a change will happen, it will be after this tournament, not during the tournament.
Roberto Martinez isn't going to be the first to drop. By the way, I'm not suggesting he should be dropped. I think it's just maybe a change within a game, right?
So you would start him against France?
He will start.
Yeah.
No, but that's not my question.
Yeah.
The question is, would you?
Yeah, I would. I actually would start him against France.
For sure.
But if it's not working out, I would make the changes. And those are the changes I think that Roberto Martinez is frightened to make in the big knockout games. And you can't allow a guy to walk around saying, this is my ball and I'm taking everything. You just can't. And now I understand the pressure of taking penalties. Frank and I have both taken them in big games. So I don't have a problem with that. It's the rest of it I have a problem with. Look, we have to separate emotion from performance here. There's the emotion that surrounds Ronaldo and want him to do well and his teammates, and then there's performance.
Yeah.
And what's more important, emotion or performance? You need some emotion, but the most important thing is performance. And at the moment, as a front man, he has not performed well enough in this tournament for his country. They have gotten away with it thus far by the skin of their teeth. But the big, it's France have got, isn't it?
France on Saturday.
This is the big question now. This is the big question, because even if the French are not on their A game, it is going to be a tight game.
Yeah.
Big decisions will have to be made from both coaches. We know, and we've seen the World Cup final, Didier Deschamps, whether we agree with team selection and subs or not, went, right, I don't care if this is Sunday amateur football or the World Cup final, subs are going to be made now.
Yeah.
One manager has proven he can do it. The other manager, there's a big question mark.
I just want to go back to the fact that Ronaldo has a problem with the tactic that Roberto Martinez is putting on. He's on his own in the 16-yard box. He's the target and the only target that the other players have. On top of it is a magnet. We talk about the influence that he has inside the dressing room, but also on the field, where players, when they have the ball, they can be called Bernardo Silva and win the Champions League and the Premier League so many times. They try to find him because we don't see off screen when they don't give a ball to him, how he shouts to them because he didn't receive the ball. So the influence can be positive because he's Ronaldo and he's really talented, but can also be negative because they have to give him the ball. The problem, they have only one option in the 16-yard box, and he's the only one in the middle of it. And then when he's going to face Saliba and Upamecano, that's going to be a problem. Another thing about the penalty, Seville, he had the guts to shoot in the penalty shootout, the second penalty. Yes, because you need to have guts to shoot penalties. And the second one, tell me in the history of football, one penalty taker who missed a penalty during the game didn't shoot in a shootout penalty. Never. It never happened. Always you go for it because you want to prove to yourself that you made one mistake, but you are capable of scoring another goal. So it never happened. Yeah, he had guts, but it was just normal what he did.
We're having a discussion about a 39-year-old striker who hasn't scored in this competition. It's not a pile-on on Cristiano Ronaldo.
Or the World Cup, I believe, as well.
We would be having this discussion if any other country had a player at that age up front who had been struggling and hadn't scored. We'd be saying, hey, drop him. Yes. Drop him.
Yeah,
so
it's not an anti-Ronaldo.
It's not an anti-Ronaldo. It's a discussion that has to be had. And we had it before the tournament started. We said, this is going to be one of the big talking points of the tournament. Mark my words. And that is.
Craig, he didn't put out Pepe after the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And Pepe made a mistake because he was tired. Yeah. He's 41. He's not even 39. He's 41. And Roberto Martinez, I don't know, maybe he didn't have the guts to put Pepe out.
Right.
So how do you think he can do that with Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Well, Fernando Santos did.
Yeah.
So one manager has done it.
No, you take Pepe out, Ronaldo comes on. You take Ronaldo out, Pepe goes on. So both of them, they're going to back each other. So I don't think anybody is going to take anybody out at the moment. They are standing, they are very close friends, and they are going to support each other till the final whistle of this tournament. So back my words, because they will do that.
So let's take a look then at how the bracket stands. You could argue there have been a couple of upsets, Switzerland beating Italy, Turkey beating Austria. But that aside, it's pretty much gone as we expected, which sets things up. What a day Friday is. Absolutely brilliant. Spain against Germany, Portugal against France, and then the other side of the bracket will be concluded on Saturday. Netherlands against Turkey, then England against Switzerland. Should we play the who are favourites to win the Euros?
Oh, my God. Again, it's coming home.
England 7-2. Spain have just shown how much they've impressed. They've been trimmed now to 15-4. France and Germany 9-2. The outsiders are Turkey at 18-1. Portugal, meanwhile, at 9-1.
Not saying anything.
No, you're saying it.
No words today on the favourites. No words.
So it's a rest day. Rest day tomorrow, isn't it? There are no games
for 2 days.
For Wednesday and Thursday. But however, ESPN FC will continue. Be sure to check it out, where I'm sure we're starting getting everyone's brackets looking ahead.
What side of the bracket are the US in? And
No!
How can they be out? It's the greatest generation.
Naughty. ESPN 2 tomorrow and ESPN Plus Live at 5. Now, a couple of transfer deals that have been done. Archie Gray has moved from Leeds to Spurs at only 18 years of age. It's quite a big fee, 30 million euros. He was the young player of the year in a championship last season. Meanwhile, Dewsbury Hall has moved to Chelsea from Leicester. He was part of the Leicester side that got promotion last season. He's gone for 30 million. To keep up to date with all those latest transfers, be sure to check out Transfer Talk over on the website. Just a reminder, NWSL action continues this weekend. On Saturday, Chicago Red Stars take on Houston Dash. That game live, 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ESPN+. That is it. That brings us to the end of today's show.
No wonder after that opening set.
Mario's back. Craig and Frank.
That could have been over in 5 seconds.
Just
sack him.
To answer your
sack him.
Stay with us. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Craig finished the main show off by saying sack 'em.
We had a 25-minute segment at the start of the live show, 5 o'clock. We handed it out to LA, to our guys out there. Spent about 24 and a half minutes. Greg Berhalter at the US. I mean, it could have been 20 seconds each, 10 seconds each, round the guys. Should he be sacked? Yes. Are these players as good as what everybody's saying? No. Next.
The first question is about that. Craig, which is more appropriate, a 13-month review process to appoint a new coach or a 14-month process to appoint a new coach? Of course, after the World Cup...
Well, they paid a lot of money, apparently. They hired the firm.
Yes, of course. I forgot about the firm.
How much? How much?
Well, you know, just a cool, $1 million or two, you know. Well, I don't know how much they paid.
Whatever.
But they hired an outside firm to have a review.
Yes.
Right? Only in America. And and the review came back that the guy that was in the job and is out of the job should be back in the job. Now they're out of the Copa, they're having another review. These reviews, it's all corporate speak now, isn't it? We're going to have a corporate overview.
Review to see if the US are rubbish.
You know what gets me, though, recently? And I know they've got 1 or 2 good younger players, but if I keep seeing on social media people, if somebody else says this is the greatest American
Golden
team,
generation.
yeah, but the greatest American team ever assembled, I mean, I'm going to, like, self-combobulate.
Yes, I think.
Because there have been a lot of... I know we jest sometimes about the US, but trust me, I played against the US in the 90s and a couple of friendlies, and the US have also been a smidge away from a World Cup semi-final.
Yep.
They have had, at various times, some cracking players.
Yeah.
Cracking players. Way better, by the way, this is a recency bias, way better than most, if not all of these guys now.
Yeah.
But that is gladly forgotten in the recent era.
Dan, as a newly minted American, how disappointed were you in your new country's performance at the Copa? You didn't see last night's game?
But interesting enough, when you go places now and they say, where are you from? Do you go, I'm American?
I'm American. You don't sound
Or do you go, well, I hope you know I'm a dual citizen?
you didn't watch the game, no?
What game?
The US-Uruguay game.
No, I didn't see it.
It was just comedy right from the start. The camera angle was completely wrong. So it was like up on the moon, basically.
I saw people
So they had to move the camera halfway through. The referee just looked like he was just taking the mick. At one stage, he goes to show a yellow card and then plays an advantage in the middle of a free
what else
kick.
was it? The Copa we had at the early rounds of or earlier in the Copa America, did we have the VAR decided it was going to intervene?
Yeah, yes, when it wasn't allowed.
When it wasn't allowed to intervene to change an offside or something, and then reverse the free kick.
It was just funny. It was just like
and the stadium wasn't packed.
No, the stadium wasn't full. It was obviously Kansas City.
And then also and then we had the you guys were telling me the controversy at the end where there was people refusing to shake hands with referees.
Oh yeah, because Christian Pulisic wasn't happy because the referee had a nightmare throughout, and then obviously the goal that was given that they thought was offside. There's no, they were drawing lines and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but when you say something to the ref, saying you can party with the Uruguayan, do you really expect that he's going to shake your hand?
I think that's fair, isn't it? If you ever go at someone's professional and then they're like,
what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you got a problem with that. Go on, Mario.
You're upset about it, yeah?
Now Mario is with us.
No, you never. No. When some things happen in the game, that I'm telling you, I'm taking them all the way till I get home, had a shower, I slept. When I wake up the next day, I might forget about it. But before that time, when I'm on the field, don't talk to me about it.
Don't have a go at the referee for not shaking his hand.
So is that slightly superseding the horrendous performance in the Copa America? Is that like almost like a smoke screen?
No, this was the Copa America.
Sorry?
This was the Copa America.
No, I know. That's what I meant.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, is this superseding this all these peripheral things? Is it superseding the bad performance?
I don't think even clutching at those straws, you can't say it was the referee's fault last night because you didn't have a clear opportunity.
No.
You know, it's just life,
Dan,
isn't it?
look, Dan, I understand. Look, as a ref, I think you are the neutral guy. You should shake hands. But I also say, me as a player, if something happens to me and another player, then I get a little bit moody. But as a ref, I think you have to be the bigger guy, because if anyone has to be the bigger guy in the field, it should be you.
If someone's questioning your integrity publicly and questioning whether or not, in fact, you're showing bias to another side, and then you've got to just forget it and shake his hand. No, stuff you. I've got a little bit of pride.
No, I see what you say, but in a moment when you are the ref also, I feel like you also have to, that player that comes to you, you also have to have that moment that he comes to you and wants to shake you and looks at you, and then I think, no, you got to be bigger than that. No, man, I'm bigger than that. Come on.
Now you are considering the ref as a robot, not a human being.
Yeah.
He has an ego. The guy Pulisic come, tease him, and he's okay, I'll shake hands. I don't care.
Was it Jesse Marsh who was running around?
But wait.
To shake his hand.
Oh, that was the All-Star game.
Yeah. Go on, Mario.
What? Frank,
It's all right.
you have never shaken anybody's head when he had a go at you? Come on now. Come on now.
Yeah.
Do you know one of the problems? I'm going to say this in all seriousness. Do you know one of the problems in this country around this sport? And I've said this from day dot when I arrived here over 10 years ago. Is there's too many people with too much hyperbole. Right?
Hyperbole.
I call it hyperbole. There's too much
English.
That's the way I see it. There is too much of that from analysts, journalists, broadcasters, and they continue to do it. And what it does is it builds up some false narrative and expectation.
Yeah, that's a positive attitude.
And then it all falls flat in its pie most of the time, because the expectations get beyond reality. And I've said that from day dot coming here, and people say, you don't know, and you're just this. No, it's the truth. The decent players, the good players, but you have to look beyond where some of them are playing.
Yes.
And then you have to get in the real world of these experienced, gnarly countries with guys that have been over the coals, that know their job. That's the reality, and this is another big wake-up call for this 2026 World Cup in 2 years' time, about where the United States are in the current climate of their talent level. It's not a disaster, but it's not brilliant. It's middle of the road, and that's where they are. Been saying that for a long, long time. But the trouble is, they're built up here, the best squad ever assembled, the greatest generation of US, the greatest this. The golden generation, all that, and people are like, people that don't watch week in, week out are like, oh, this is magnificent, we'll just go along. And then they get there and they pay all this money and whatever they're watching on TV and they go, what? Yeah. Is that it? And it's all built up from people that I say should know better, but half of them don't know better because they're clueless.
Mario, do you see Arne slotting Gakpo to the left to replicate his orange form?
Oh, look, they know each other, and I mean, he has seen enough of him. So I don't see why he wouldn't do that. You understand? At least try him. You understand? That doesn't mean that like whoever is also available to play that position, he's going to give him the opportunity straight away. No, it's not going to happen like that. Even in Holland, they're talking about it. They say about Slot, be careful that you don't make a whole Dutch journey out of it, because then it's going to be shaky. And Ten Hag was the best answer for you already. So I hope that Slot will take it slowly. Gakpo is there already, so maybe that's a different situation. But you still have to look at him. When he comes back to your team, see what kind of form he is in, look where he is, mentally, and also how he performs for your team. Does he do well? And similar to Holland, then I play him.
Craig, should Southgate replace Foden in the next game?
I wouldn't... Should he replace him? If I'm a manager, I'm thinking, how do I get the best out of him?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Maybe more than why would I replace him? it's a bit of a Ronaldo scenario. You know, you might have to do it during the game. But Bellingham had that great goal. He scored in the first game. He had that great overhead kick that saved the bacon. But has he been better than Foden?
No.
Taking the goal out of the equation, which I suppose is quite difficult. I don't think he will. I don't think he should, but I think he needs to find a way. To be honest with you, if you give me the choice of dropping any player, I'd play Foden on the right and drop Saka.
Right.
That's what I wanted to go. Yeah,
sorry,
because
Frank.
I say, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
I was trying to read your mind.
Give me an assist.
I was trying to read your mind.
Yeah.
And then I looked in the head. And
There is nothing. If you ask the question for Foden, you have to ask the same question for Saka. You know, because they haven't been, in any influence whatsoever, and not maybe change Foden to the right side, but maybe put Saka out and put Palmer to start, because Palmer has proved every time he came on that he had an influence, and Saka, who are highly ranked, with domestically with Arsenal, he has been absolutely fantastic. Hasn't proved during the Euro that he's been good enough. So maybe the time to change. But it's like the 20 minutes about America, United States. Gareth Southgate is not going to change anything.
Right.
So it's not even a question. He's going to keep on playing that team, not going to change anything halftime, and is going to wait maybe for 70, 80 minutes to change something, maybe.
See, I wouldn't be against putting Foden on the right, leaving Saka out, putting Gordon or Reze on the left, dropping Bellingham a little deeper to do both roles, the hybrid role, and playing Cole Palmer.
Right.
I wouldn't be, in fact, to me, that would be quite exciting.
Yes, but he's not going to do that.
Because Foden's now back in his natural habitat, cutting in on his left foot. But as Frank said, I'll bet you any money. I mean, he could name the same side again.
But, apart from Gay, of course.
The question is it going to be Dunk or Konza?
You're absolutely right. He's going to name the same side. Yeah. For Frank, as a friend of Zidane, what would it take for him to coach the USMNT national team? Giving him the state of Connecticut. The US is desperate.
Now, the thing is, I have doubts, that would be a nice challenge for Zidane to come over. And I
don't think a nice.
He's got a brain.
Well, no, because he's sometimes, he coached Real Madrid, and where you have confirmed players with maturity and experience. And it's why I say it's maybe a nice challenge to.
He's just waiting for Deschamps to leave, yeah?
Yeah, that's what he wants.
There you go.
That's what he wants. That's the only way he's going to get something. I don't think he's going to get the US national team because, first, I don't think they can afford him. And he speaks a little bit of English. He told me
he was having lessons when I was there. Yeah.
He's working on it.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Hyperbole. Yeah.
Hyperbole.
But
hyperbole.
But
just shout it, and that makes it right.
I've always said it that way.
If you wonder for Zidane, you can wonder for Guardiola and some other coaches.
Do you want vanity?
They're not going to be interested.
Do you want vanity today? So it comes in. So I'm showing Frank. We won't go into too much detail.
No,
I'm showing Frank a picture of my son's car. I said, look at that. So he then goes to me in a little bit. He goes, look at this. It's 24 years today.
I won the
Euros.
Yeah, Marcel Desailly sent me a picture of that 24 years ago.
I saw that he showed me the same picture.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have, before you come in.
Oh, really? Just anyone.
It was almost, I tell you what.
He was at Dunkin' Donuts this morning. Look, 24 years.
I don't know what was worse. I don't know what was worse. Frank talking about that before you come in, and me having to sit through the first 24 minutes of that live show today, listening to them piping on.
But it's interesting that you mentioned the fact that the photos got you in the back, when most photos have got you in the front.
Because
you felt ashamed.
It was my time where I show a little bit of humility. I played only one game, and I said, I'm going to stand at the back. But the problem is that being at the back and being on the top, you only see me.
Right.
I managed
you only
to
see yourself in every picture, Frank.
Well, on that one, you see.
Listen, Frank's got a dictionary at home, and the word humility has been taken out.
No, I know.
No, I've got a big book called The Who's Who.
Yeah, Who's Who, yeah.
And I am in it, so that's why I bought it.
Yeah, of course.
In case I forget.
You do? No. You got to look, guys. When you are among Frank, I have to tell you something. The man walked in one day in the dressing room with a hat on, He thought he was running the show that day. Walks in, he goes, Mario, you don't think it's cool? Because I think I look great. Oh my God. I was like, oh my God, this guy is taking it all to another level.
Hey, what about your fellow compatriot, Mario? Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank came out in an interview and said Frank would tell us every day and remind us every day that he won the World Cup.
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God.
So when you win something unexpected from me, because I have to tell you, you know why I'm so happy about it? Because it was so unexpected. I never say that I'm Zizou or Zola or fantastic player. I always say I never had any gift, and it's a motivation speech that I make every time. If I became champion of the world, everybody can be a champion of the world.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank doesn't need to hear that every day, does he?
Because he was upset because he couldn't take penalties. I was the penalty taker. When he signed for Chelsea, and there was one penalty, he came and get the ball, and Gustavo Poyet and Gianfranco Zola came to him and say, "Oh, sorry, that's Frank Leboeuf here." So it's why he's still upset.
And you know what he's doing now?
Yes.
No, what he does.
Coach in England.
Really?
Yeah.
You not seen him?
I love Jimmy Floyd. I love the temper.
No wonder they can't score. Thank God I left Chelsea in '97. Thank God I left Chelsea in '97 because he was bad enough before he won the World Cup.
God, yeah, that was pre.
They opened the door, they made the door bigger.
Frank used to come in every morning. Oh my God, everybody loved him. But it was like, Frankie, please just shut up. Shut up, Frank. Frankie, shut up. It's like,
you know what I mean?
Nothing has changed.
When I have the feeling that people like me, I like to talk. It's true that I should have shut up.
Yeah.
Because they don't like me. They don't like me.
Oh, they love
nobody didn't like you.
Oh, God.
Mario loved me. Mario loved me.
Right then, thank you
No,
very much.
you're okay, Frank. I don't think you know. Frank
See, he
was
could
okay.
have
More hyperbole tomorrow.
It's hyperbole.
Be sure to join us.